Hi, and welcome to the Veronica Harris Show. I'm your host, Veronica Harris, and today I am with.
Gregory Harris.
That's it?
Yeah, I mean, we're related. I'm her big little brother.
Oh, okay, because usually, you always have, you may be the co-author, you could be the co-pilot.
I'm laser focused on Gregory Harris this year.
All right. Well, Gregory, I've been thinking.
I've been thinking too.
You too?
Me too.
All right. Well, I was thinking about getting back into coaching.
Me too.
You too?
Me too.
All right then. Well, that's great because today's guest is Coach Kenny Dudley, the head coach for DC Speed Track and Field Club. And today he's going to talk to us about his club as well as some of his techniques for training and his philosophy about training and life, it would seem.
That's perfect. Speed coach, because I need to get my speed back.
To go with the comeback?
Because my comeback is in effect.
How many months out are we from the comeback?
12 months and 82 days.
82 days?
Yeah.
All right, well, stay tuned with us as we talk to Coach Kenny Dudley. And while you're doing that, you can stay tuned for his comeback and definitely, maybe not his comeback, but definitely stay tuned and come back and see us at the Veronica Harris Show. Hi, and welcome back. Today's guest is Mr. Kenny Dudley. He's the head coach for the DC Speed Track and Field Club. He is also the sprint coach for the 11 and 12 age group. Kenny Dudley has coached various youth sports, including basketball, football, baseball, wrestling, motocross, and track and field. He specializes in developing ultimate strength and speed. Training athletes in becoming the best they can possibly be is his passion. He developed
strength and conditioning programs for several youth football teams as well as for DC Speed Track Club. He has his USATF Level 1 certification and has attended numerous speed and strength development trainings.
Thank you, Greg, for that assist. Kenny Dudley was born and raised in Washington, D.C. He graduated from DeMatha Catholic High School. He continued his education at Hampton University, where he received his BS in Building Construction Technology. He continued his graduate studies at Johns Hopkins University. He is the owner of a mid-sized general contracting and inspection company based here in Washington, D.C. He has been married to Dana Dudley since 1999, and they have 4 kids, Kenny Jr., Bryce, Daniel, and Julia. The philosophy that he trains his athletes by is train like you've never won and race like you've never lost. Welcome, Mr. Kenny Dudley.
Thank you. Thank you. It's definitely a pleasure being here, meeting both of you guys.
Thank you.
I guess first and foremost, yes, I am the head track coach for DC Speed Track Club. Mm-hmm. We're a DC-based track club, but we have quite a few athletes from the Maryland area and some from Virginia as well. Mm-hmm. Right now, in indoor season, we have approximately 113 athletes signed up.
Wow. Big. That's
yes, which is this is the largest indoor season we've ever had.
And how many coaches do you have?
In indoor season, right now, we have 12 coaches.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, 12 coaches. Because I'm just thinking of the numbers because, I'm a teacher, and usually when we talk about chaperoning and going places with kids, they always say 10 students to a teacher or to an adult.
Correct.
So that's usually the ratio. So I'm like, okay, you got it covered.
Absolutely. And this year has been definitely unique. Since we've grown so much this year, we've actually had to break up our practices into 2 separate facilities. Mm-hmm. So we have our older kids who are 13 and up who practice on our Maryland side, okay. And then we have our 12 and below athletes who practice in our DC facility. Okay. So we have 4 different practice days. Each group has 2 days each to practice.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And that's interesting. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a whole lot. 2 different facilities. Where we all practice out of?
Well, in Maryland on Mondays and Wednesdays we practice at luckily Jericho Church. They've actually gave us their facility. They have a gymnasium right next to the church. It's right behind Sports and Learning Center in Landover, Maryland, which we practice with the older kids. Then we practice at Sherwood Gym, Sherwood Rec Center, on Thursdays and Fridays.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, Kenny, Coach Dudley. Sorry.
Yes.
How did you come to your philosophy? Tell me a little bit more about that. Train like you've never won and race like you've never lost.
I heard run like you stole something. You need to run fast.
Well, no, I mean, it's true. I mean, when you're training, I mean, you want to train like this is your first time ever trying to win. So you're just giving it everything you got, you know, and then same thing when you race. I mean, you just have to leave it all on the line, and that's what we try to tell the kids. I mean, the biggest thing that I tell my kids before every race, so I get my group together, and I always try to instruct them to finish the race. I mean, too often when I go to some of these meets, I see kids jogging through the finish line or walking through the finish line. It like drives me crazy. You know, it's like you have to start the race. You have to, you know, run a solid pace, but you always finish. It's like a lot of times kids are afraid to put everything on the line because they don't think they have enough energy to bring it in. You know what I mean? So a lot of times they go out real slow, and next thing you know, they finish a race and they have just boatloads of energy left.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, races like 3 parts. You got your start, you got the middle, and also you got the finish. And each one you have to execute to be great.
You've said it right there. I mean, when I'm hearing you talk, I just think about what I was told when I was growing up, because both of us, Gregory and I, we ran for Children Striders track club. And just the lessons that our coach, Mr. Somerville, may he rest in peace, told us was always like, finish strong, like, because you never know, somebody could be right there behind you. Also, in terms of, you know, athletes that, you know, may start slow, finish fast, or sometimes they may start fast and finish slow. It's, and you said the beginning or the start, the middle, and the end. I say it just like when I teach my health classes, even my PE classes, I say, a story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So you must do each section of it to the best of your ability and think about what is the story that you want to tell. So if the story that you want to tell is that of victory, then you're going to have to do things necessary to be victorious. So I can totally relate to what you're saying, and I think it's awful. And I mean, great. Oh my God. Where's my mind? Sorry. I think it's great. Awesome. Awfully great. But what I was also going to say is that when, you know, the athletes do say, oh, I can't start out fast because I'm going to die. I'm like, everybody's going to die. Everybody's going to hurt.
Yes.
But just think how less you're going to hurt when you win.
Correct. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, I mean, because the pain of losing, I mean, it's like if they, not really losing, because again, in track and field, I feel as though you're racing against yourself. You're racing against your time rather than anybody next to you. Because again, there's just some people who you just can't beat. You know, they just might be on that level that they're just, you know what I mean, just maybe because of their DNA. Exactly. So you're really racing against your time. As long as you keep PRing and doing the best you can, I mean, then you won, you know. Yeah. So, I mean, I have athletes who, they might be in a heat and they might come in first place. And I might have another athlete who might come in 8th place, but I might be more proud of the one coming in 8th place because he might have PR'd by a second and a half with the one who came in first place, you know, lost a second or two on their best time. So, you know, so it really doesn't matter what place you come in. It's really the effort you give and how you do against yourself.
Right.
Correct.
And I always say, for instance, you know, you are racing against the clock, and clock don't lie. Yeah. Because regardless of what place you come in, usually it's the time that matters. Because again, like you said, if you get first in your heat, but if your time isn't fast enough, then you don't move on. Correct. Or something like that. So time, like you said, you're always racing against the clock. It's you and the clock. And if you just concentrate on doing your best, everything else will take care of itself. Everything else will take care of itself.
Coach Dudley, got another question for you.
Yes.
2 parts. Now, you do the programming for all age groups.
Yes.
Is it a reason why you specifically work with 11, 12s? And share some of your training techniques and strategies that you're using with your tech club now.
Okay. There's no real reason why I work with 11, 12. That's just the one. When I first came on board to DC Speed 4 years ago, I was with the 11, 12 group. We already had a coach for the older group, and same thing with the younger groups. And I just gelled very well with that group. So, and again, I don't want to be the coach who, you know, you just go with that athlete. I want athletes to keep on coming through. So when they come to me, I'm getting them ready for high school, you know, for the next, you know what I mean? So I'm taking the youth and just keep on rotating them through. And again, I just think athletes grow better when they have different coaching. So they'll stay with me for 2 years and they'll move on to the next coach. And again, it's my job to get them to that level where you know, they have proper form. They know how to breathe. They know how to lift their knees when they run. They know how to get the elbows back and chop properly. And to your next question, which was?
Share some of the training techniques and things you're using with your athletes.
Yeah, well, typically right now we use a lot of dynamic stretching, where I know growing up everything was still. You know what I mean? You're just touching your toes. Well, now everything has a lot of movement.
I see a team warming up and they're sitting down and doing that. I'm like, he
know,
don't know anything about nothing.
You have to be dynamic, and I'm sure you do a lot of drills.
Absolutely.
And things like that. Because my thing is, I always thought when you're warming up, you should be doing activities that are going to replicate what it is you're doing.
Correct.
So, and I firm believer that you need to warm up at the speed that you're going to be competing at. I know.
Oh, sorry for cutting you off, Dudley. Continue, please.
Well, anyway, hold on.
He was
hold
telling
that
us.
Thought.
I cut him off. I'm sorry.
I know, but hold that thought. Why? Because we're about to go into a break, and when we come back, we will let him finish your question. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back.
No problem.
Everything starts out small. The things that hurt us, they all start from somewhere. The words we say, the things we do, they can grow into something else. What was small and innocent can become big and sometimes scary. All it takes is one comment, one picture, one video for something to catch fire. But a big problem doesn't need a big response. Not at first. Even if we don't know what to say, the eye emoji can be that first step we take. Let's all pledge to take that first small step together and change the world in a big way. I'm a witness, and so are you.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally.
Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls. But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys know statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Yeah.
That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to make sure your child is protected.
And we're back. And we want to pick right back up, Coach Dudley, because you were explaining to us about the dynamic stretching that you're using. And we both commented about how we hate to see people using obsolete techniques.
Correct.
So continue.
Yeah, so typically our practices are an hour and a half. And I would say we spend the first 30 to 40 minutes really stretching, doing dynamic stretching. For our indoor season, we're kind of limited because we're actually in a gymnasium, so a basketball court. So we just say we might have 60 kids on a basketball court. So there's not like a lot of endurance type running or sprint work you can do. So most things we do a lot of plyometrics. We'll bring like plow boxes out. We'll bring like banana hurdles out. And yeah, have the kids do a lot of the hurdle drills. I know like yesterday at practice, we brought like the long tape measure out. The kids were working on just trying to find their marks for the long jump. But again, yeah, most of it's like dynamic stretching, and also we're fortunate to have an oval track on the outside. So the kids will bundle up a little bit and do some running outside as well.
Because luckily the winters or the early springs here in DC we're pretty mild, thankfully. And it's not like it is up in Jersey. I mean, it's just brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, when they say indoor track and I see them still running outside, I'm like, wait a minute, I thought this was indoor. I mean, why are we training outdoor? Like indoor. I mean, I just can't compete with that. But I think that's awesome as far as, you know, you bringing the up-to-date techniques as far as the coaching is concerned, and also the fact that the fundamentals, which is we both are definitely deep into the fundamentals. I mean, that's your whole thing, being fundamentally sound. Yeah. Fundamentally sound.
So, from the programs from 6 to 18, how much do they differ with the younger group to the older group?
The workouts might not differ too much sometimes. I mean, because again, they're tailored that everybody can do them. What we do a lot of times is, whether you're 6 or whether you're 18, I mean, we want to try to break out, like just say, if you're an elite athlete, I mean, so that means you're going to have a whole different workout. So we might take some 8, 9-year-olds. They might be working with some 11 and 12-year-olds and also 13, 14-year-olds.
Just like what I did.
Yeah, so it's like you want to, you take athletes at a different level. You know what I mean? Because again, you might have, because again, we take kids from who are elite athletes, kids first time running, kids who've never run before. And again, the kids who've never run before, they need to learn form. They need to learn coordination. But you have other kids who, they have form, they have coordination, they need to learn, you know, different dynamics.
So
you know what I mean?
it's just a form of differentiated learning, which we both have to do as far as our teaching is concerned. And like I said, I did when I was started out 9, 10, I ran with 13, 14-year-olds. So that's, you know, that's what you do. I want to talk a little bit more about you in particular. First of all, graduate of DeMatha High School. Yes, you too. Graduated from DeMatha. Stags.
You go back to your reunion?
I didn't go.
I went. I met my first reunion this October.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and then you went from there and you went to Hampton University. I think a lot of us in this area know what Hampton University is. HU, as they say. Very good. And you studied building and construction technology.
Yes.
First of all, I can honestly say I did not know that that particular major was available. The only time I'd heard something like that is when I was an exchange student in Sweden. The school that I went to, they had different, they called linjes, which were lines.
Okay.
And they had one called Tiafid Bigden, which was like for the construction workers. Not construction workers, but people that wanted to learn about construction, project management, things of that nature. So I didn't know that something existed like that here, but I guess it should because, you know, people that do work in construction, that are project managers, developers, things of that nature, they have to learn this sort of thing there.
Yeah, well, the thing is, when I first graduated high school, I know my parents, they pushed me to be an electrical engineer. I mean, you know, going through high school, that's all I heard is, you're going to be an engineer, you're going to be an engineer. So when I got to Hampton, I majored in electrical engineering for my first 2 years. And
that's
then,
a tough major.
Yeah, it is. Then going into my third year, I realized, you know, I don't really like this. You know what I mean? I'm more of a hands-on guy, you know, and so I went to talk to my counselor, and he was telling me about different majors where these credits can actually transfer over, and building construction came up. And that's when I learned about it, and that's when I fell in love with construction.
And that's awesome because actually you're an entrepreneur, you have your own business, general contracting and inspection business here in DC. So, I mean, awesome. And, you know, I think that's great for, you know, also with your coaching because, again, we always say that people, young people need to see people like them doing great things, and your runners obviously get to see you as an African American male who has graduated high school, graduated college, graduated with your graduate school with your master's degree, and now you have taken that, your skills and your education, and you have become an entrepreneur, you have your own business. I mean, that is, I think, so wait a minute, I think that is so important. So you went to Johns Hopkins for your master's degree. Yeah. So, hey, Master's Club, high five, all three of us, Master's Club. And what is your master's in?
Residential development.
Okay, interesting. All right, very
so
good.
hold on. It's not adding up. Kenny, it's not adding up.
What's that adding up?
You got your own business.
Yeah.
You coach.
Yes.
Still married.
Yeah.
How you do it all? You can't.
Well, no,
you can't.
Well, no, I mean,
just because you find it hard.
No, you're right. I mean, it's definitely difficult. I mean, I don't think there's like a moment in my day that I'm not doing something. Even like once I leave here, you know, when I get back home at 2:30, I have a workout group of 10 teenagers who we're going to do a 2-hour workout. So it's like every day, it's always something. From the time I get up and come home, you know, from work, pick the kids up from school, then head to track practice and come home and, you know what I mean, just, you know, ask the wife how she's doing because she hasn't seen me since 6:30 that morning. I mean, it's just ongoing, but again, that's the life I chose, and that's what I'm used to, and it's, you know, I wouldn't know how to just sit down.
Now, with the track and field, with the track club, it's a family affair. Like, is your wife a part of it? Does she help out with it, or are your children? Do they participate in the club? I mean, how does it work?
I would say it's 80% a family affair. So my wife, she supports us at home. So I mean, no. I'm sorry.
No, but you need that support. You need somebody who's at home taking care of things there.
Yeah, so when we get home, we definitely have a nice cooked meal. So we don't have to go. We don't have to go get fast food on the way home because when we get home, it's a nice cooked meal. But all four of my kids do participate in track and field. So my kids range, they're 14, 13, 11, and 5.
Okay.
So, yeah, so my 13-year-old, he's, you know, preparing to go to high school next year, and that's been a very stressful time for us as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess so because, like, I think your kids now, they go to charter school
Yes.
or whatever. We came up in Catholic school, so at 8th grade time, it was time to look for a school.
Correct.
And, I mean, I took my mom all up around, up to Rockville, everywhere we looked for before we settled on my school, Lorraine High School. And then, Gregory, I guess you just naturally, or they kind of recruited you over to the Mather?
What are you talking about? I was a natural. But, okay, I get it now. So by coaching your own kids, the wife's happy because you're spending time with your kids. And you're able to do everything. Okay, now it makes sense.
Yeah, because the whole family is actually with me all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, so I spend more time with my kids than most people because we're always together.
That's how Mommy and Daddy did it. They were always, Mommy coached or whatever. But you've done some amazing, I mean, you coached, okay, first of all, you did basketball, football, baseball, wrestling, motocross.
Yes.
Motocross and track and field.
Yeah.
So what is it? Which of your children was into the motocross? Were it the older ones?
Well, my oldest son and my middle son, they did the motocross.
Are they still doing it?
No.
Okay.
And the reason why, see, this is what.
And how do you coach motocross?
Well, I had a motocross
I mean,
team.
how do you coach motocross? Like, how do you?
You go out, the same thing you do with track and field. When you go out to the track, I mean, you teach them technique on the bike and
the start.
Yeah, how to put your foot down and how to turn. But again, they got involved with motocross because I did motocross. I raced motocross.
Okay,
so I would bring them out and they wanted to try it. So we got them dirt bikes and they ran on the District 7 circuit and I did very well. But like they started closing down all the local tracks. So you had to go 3-4 hours anywhere to find a track. So it just wasn't feasible to continue. Yes.
All right. Well, listen, I mean, we could do a whole nother show on all the other things that you have done. I mean, we really just scratched the surface.
Absolutely.
But we're going to take a break right now, and we'll come back right back with What is Veronica Thinking? And are you thinking anything in particular today?
Thinking about a whole lot.
Okay. Well, we'll be right back with me thinking.
Yeah.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
This is the moment I knew his future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back. Now is the time for What is Veronica Thinking? And today, I am thinking about actually Coach Dudley's philosophy, his motto for his philosophy, which is train like you've never won and race like you've never lost. And I think that can be applied to your life in general, especially the last part, race like you've never lost. Like, in other words, give it 100%. Like, if you've always been perfect at something, now you don't want to break up that, that record. You don't want to break that record. So you want to keep doing it, you want to keep it going. So consistency is needed for that. And not only do you have to be consistent, but you have to give 100% effort all the time. And if you do those things in your life, I mean, think how victorious you could be, or think of how much you can achieve, how many goals that you can achieve, and just the fulfillment that you would come from knowing from, hey, I've always given it my best, there's no regrets, and things of that nature.
Yeah, and a lot of times, on that last part, race like you never lost, I more so think about confidence. So, track and field, if you don't have confidence, you're going to lose. I mean, you have to go up to that line and think you can actually win, think that you can actually beat someone. And that's how I want our athletes to think. They need to have confidence when they step up to the line that they're going to do their best each and every time. I mean, because, the mental aspect, that's half the battle right there. I mean, you could be
mental.
as physically gifted as possible, but if you're not mentally ready, if you don't have the confidence, you can do it. I mean, it's all for nothing.
What did you used to say? 90% was mental?
It's 90%.
10%
physical. Yeah.
90% mental. But not just, but yes, I'm glad that confidence is so important. And not just, again, in the sports, but in all aspects of life, in school.
Yes.
You know, you need to have confidence to know that, hey, I know what I know, I've studied, I'm prepared, I'm ready to go. You know, when you go for that job interview, confidence, I'm prepared, I'm good, you know, let's get it type of thing. So confidence, giving it everything you have and being consistent.
Correct.
Okay, it's so important. And I think that's why I like sports. It teaches us these, you know, it gives us these life lessons that I like to call them, and that can be translated obviously into our life. And if we do there in our life, if what we do there we can translate into our life, I mean, sky's the limit.
Correct. And that's one of the reasons why I just love track and field as a sport. Because again, we can just set small goals. You know, your goal doesn't need to be, you know, to run a 9.3 flat. I mean, if they're typically running 12 seconds, I mean, let's get down to 11.98. That's our goal. And that's how we build confidence, by these small goals throughout the season. Then at the end, when you look at it from day one to the last day, I mean, it's a huge step.
Yeah, I'm saying, I couldn't say it better. I mean, when I first ran cross country at CNO, I had never run cross country before. And my thing was to not be last. That's the only thing I did. I kept checking, making sure, looking around, okay, who's behind me, and I wasn't last. So I was just so happy about that. What you laughing at?
Not be last.
Well, that was
way to shoot for the stars.
Anyway, well, thank you, Coach Dudley, for being here. I mean, that was my small goal. I had to start somewhere. All right, thank you, Coach Dudley, for being here and talking to us about DC Speed Track Club. We wish you and your team, your family, everyone, much success. We're looking out for them. And hopefully, we're going to have to bring you back. So,
absolutely.
Will you come back and spend some
time? I would love
to
come back.
All right, awesome. So, once again, thank you for being with us, and we'll see you all next time.
Thank you.